But if you're measuring success by how long your run was, you're going to continue to see it as a failure if it's over.
Hey loves, my name is Dantea and I'm your fave self-worth therapist and coach. And this is my show, Situationship. This show is about getting out of toxic situationships that go beyond partners to family and friends and everything in between, to living a life of joy and self-worth. Okay, let's get into it. Hello, loves. Welcome back to another episode. I'm so excited. I know I say that every time there's a new guest. When I tell you, though, this person, I have been secretly, now they know, manifesting them to be on this show and vice versa. When I came across this person, I was blown away. Like, number one, Black female talking about friendships. What? Like, I can't wait. So let me introduce this person to you so we can go ahead and get started. Today, you already know from the episode title, but today we have Danielle Bayard Jackson, who is a female friendship coach and educator who speaks nationally about the science of women's platonic connections. She is also the author of Fighting for Our Friendships. I love that. Danielle's coaching business, Friend Forward, is dedicated to teaching women how to create and maintain better female friendships. And her expertise has been featured in the New York Times, NBC News, Psychology Today, Wall Street Journal, Oprah Magazine, Good Morning America, and a host of other media outlets. And I also saw you on the Tamron Hall show. So yes, that. As a former high school teacher, Danielle now uses her teaching skills as an educator to coach women through common friendship conflicts. As a member of the American Sociological Association, she uses the latest research to create practical, tangible strategies to help women create more depth in their platonic relationships. Companies like TikTok, the NBA, NFL, no big deal, and Etsy have all booked Danielle as a speaker to address the topic of connection psychology. As a resident friendship expert for the global app Bumble For Friends, I did see a video you did on that. Danielle shares her insight weekly on the Friend Forward podcast, has several viral videos on TikTok, and has written for Insider and Harvard Business Review. Danielle, thank you for being on the show.
Hey girl, hey. I am so excited to be here and I love your energy through the bio and the introduction. And I'm so glad that that you are facilitating a moment to have this conversation. So thank you.
Yes, of course. So I want to just kind of jump right into it. A lot of times, the work that I do helping women get out of toxic relationships, seeing themselves as a prize, how do I show up authentically? How do I use my voice and not be afraid of people leaving me because I have needs, right? Mm-hmm. Within those same conversations, I come across a lot of women who will say, when friendships end, when the friendship, whether it explodes or it's a heartbreaking moment where it's over, people say it hurts a lot more than when a romantic relationship ends. Do you have any thoughts on that one?
Oh, yeah. I personally and anecdotally agree with that. I think the research supports that. There's a couple things. One, the research finds that women integrate their friends into their lives to the degree of a sibling, while men integrate to the degree of a cousin. So from the very beginning, our friendships are such a deeply attached thing. So just for the woman who needs to be validated in that way, 100%, that would be one reason it's really painful. Another reason I think it might be more painful to experience a friendship breakup than a romantic one is because, I don't know, I feel like when you're getting into a romantic relationship from the very beginning, you are kind of aware of the fact that it might end. We don't know if this person's going to be the one, but we're rarely entering into platonic relationships with that thought.
Yeah.
Okay, if this doesn't work out, I don't know. You don't think that. You're having chemistry with another woman. You're like, wow, she seems cool. We hardly are ever thinking about how to prepare ourselves for when it's over.
Yeah.
So I think that makes it kind of difficult to reconcile our expectations with reality when a friendship does end. And then finally, I think it might be painful because, and I saw somebody else say this, I wish I knew her name so I could credit her properly, but she theorized that, you know, especially in a relationship with a man, a romantic relationship with a man, that sometimes they just see us as an object. Another woman sees you as the whole person.
Yeah.
So if she opts to end something with me, I'm now questioning, am I lovable? Am I funny? Am I interesting? Because I thought I was those things because you see me that way. And at least with the guy, we're like, well, plenty of fish in the sea, I can move on. So I think there's a couple things that work to make it something that's really difficult to recover from.
I love that. We women, we see our friendships as siblings and men see it as cousins. What I really enjoy about your information, like when you provide such valuable content, there's always some research behind it. It's just like, it's so awesome. So I want to know, do you have anything more to say? Like, how is that so? How come we as women don't see these relationships as cousin level?
I just think it's because, women, we value depth in our relationships. And I always like to say, I think men do too. I think universally we all want the same things, but we prioritize them differently. So does a man also want to be emotionally supported by his friends? Sure. But that's not at the top of the list when they are ranking qualities that they prioritize in a same-sex friendship. And so, because women tend to be more dyadic, meaning, we're in one-to-one friendships and we're engaged in self-disclosure more than men might in their friendships. I mean, you put that formula together, that means it's a pretty deep and intimate relationship. So yes, it's probably going to be more painful when it's over because we were more deeply attached. So, I even hear people often say like, wow, why are women having all these fallouts and men, we don't have that. And it's just like, you're probably not having fallout with people you're not close with. It's not that serious. So by definition, I'm probably having more endings with girls I'm more deeply connected to because you know what I'm saying? There's more of a cost there. But if I'm keeping you at arm's length, like men unfortunately tend to do, then it probably is not as emotionally wrecking if we don't work out.
I agree with you. I've met many men who have, you ask them about their best friend and someone I grew up with. That's my guy. Da da da. And I'm like, oh, when's the last time you guys spoke? Oh, it's been like a month, I think. And I'm like, wait, that's your best friend? And it's that's my best friend. What's the problem that you're hearing, right? And I'm like, golly, can imagine not talking to my best friend for over a month.
I know. I don't get it either.
So there is that. And I wonder how that kind of, that so easy way of saying, oh, girls, you're always having a fallout and, girls can't get along, how it can affect our psyche and how we can take that on and be like, oh, I'm difficult. And eventually wouldn't want to tell your partner, whoever has said that, oh, another friendship ended, because friendships will and can end, when that time comes.
Yeah, I totally agree with you there. And that's true. And I've seen the opposite end of that. Because women don't want to be perceived as being difficult or here we go with the drama, then you remain silent on the things that do make you uncomfortable because I don't want to even be seen that way. So I'm not going to say, hey, that made me uncomfortable what you said yesterday. I'm not going to say, hey, it wasn't cool that you guys left me behind at the concert last night. Because I don't want to be a big deal. I don't need another friendship to be over. This is all I've got. So being comfortable in general with engaging in healthy conflict and being comfortable in general with, if it looks like it has run its course, like I've advocated for my, needs and we've talked through things, but what they're giving is just not compatible with what I need. And we've tried and it's still not clicking. Then maybe the season was over. But, I often challenge people to, answer the question, what makes a successful friendship to you? And for many of us, we're probably going to say longevity. And I get that. And I do think that healthier friendships probably are lasting on average longer than dysfunctional friendships. So I get that. But if you're measuring success by how long your run was, you're going to continue to see it as a failure if it's over. So maybe just modifying that definition. Maybe success was, during the season we were in each other's lives, we loved each other the best way we could. I'm glad I had her companionship during college. I don't know if I would have made it without her. So how can I reframe, man, this offered a lot of value, but it looks like no matter how we try, it's not fitting with where we are right now.
Yep. So everyone listening, you're getting like shivers in your body. You're feeling like Danielle's calling you out. Don't worry, I'm here with you. And this is why I had to get this person on the show, because you mentioned that in one of your videos, one of the first videos I saw that you did on TikTok. And I think this was the same video where you were talking about how you were going to actually close your friendship coaching business because it wasn't taking off the way you wanted it to. And tell me if I'm getting this wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And you talked about this too, about like, we measure success off of longevity. Like I have friendships that I think we're at 18, maybe 20 years. And I have other friendships who I feel so connected with, and we've only known each other since 2020. And just last year, I've started working out of that mindset of success does not mean longevity. Me, my friendships, I attach, we're in it, I'm showing up for you, and it sometimes becomes my identity. And so when they end, I'm like hit against the wall, and I really have to work myself through that. Like literally what you just said, I think our time has expired. And I'm so grateful for the past X amount of years we spent together. It's very hard though. And I feel like I'm just kind of talking and I don't even remember where I started from.
No, but that's good because I'm sure a lot of people feel the same way. I know I felt, that way. If I could be transparent, my book comes out in May, which we're all excited about, fighting for our friendships. But, the chapter on friendship breakups, and I don't know if this is like, I'm supposed to be selling the book, so I should be telling you this is the best book ever, and I do think it was pretty good. But if I'm being honest, I wrote the book in 2021. It's 2024. I learned more things I wish I could go back and add, and I'll continue to be adding them. But during the time I was writing it, it had been a while since I had personally experienced my own friendship breakup. It had been a while. So I know that chapter came from my head. It was research. I think it's helpful strategies, but it came from my head.
Yeah.
And about 6 months ago, I went through one and I'm like, oh my God. And it just was a reminder, like it put you back into the nuances of that experience. Things felt tender again. I had new realizations and I'm like, oh my God, I wish I could go back and put this in there. And so I thank God for that experience because it does keep me tender. It does keep me like, hey girl, I'm in this with you. I think maybe I'm an authority figure in this space because I like to share what the research has to say, but I am also a woman navigating relationships with other women. Yeah. And you can't perfectly script it or do all the perfect things. We're still people with our own sensitivities. I have things I'm sensitive about, or certain things, so, and sometimes no matter how much you want to will it into existence, you just can't. And with this particular person, I mean, we had 2 talks over the course of a year, like come to Jesus talks of like, girl, when you do this, we tried. The first one we got through, the second one, we just couldn't. And I felt all the things. So, I'm right there with people because, according to the research, it's going to happen every 7 years. So the research tells us that we tend to replace half of our friends every 7 years.
Wow.
And so to some degree, you kind of have to expect like a natural pruning to happen during friendships. But I also hesitate to say that sometimes because we have, and I'm sure you've worked with women who they're a little too eager. I'm going to cut you off if you tick me off. So sometimes I'm like too eager because they feel justified with that. But I mean, to a reasonable degree, if you're doing everything you can to keep it healthy, to work through conflict, and it's just not clicking, then, what do you expect to collect and maintain every friendship you've ever made? Is not even reasonable.
That's true. That's true. For me growing up, it was kind of this unspoken thing that you were supposed to be rolling around in like large groups. And in that large group, like 5 to 8 people, you were all best tight friends. And when that wasn't happening for me in middle school, I just continued to have these like 2 friends and maybe 1 friend in my neighborhood. I'm like, I'm doing it wrong. I got to get more friends. I have to have that, like, we're mobbing in together. And of course, now today, I'm like, thank God. I just, have my little circle. And I'm also someone who loves meeting new people. I love connecting with new people. It excites me. So whatever works for us and knowing like it could change every 7 years. I really want to sit with that. Since we're on this topic, what would you say to the women who experienced a recent friendship breakup?
If you're listening to this episode, I bet you're wondering what behaviors you're doing that keep you from getting your needs met and ending up in situationship after situationship. I got you. I've created a situationship quiz and I'm so excited about it. Take the quiz to discover more behaviors and more tips for navigating situationships. Because I know you're in more than one right now. No judgment, boo-boo. I used to have 5 situationships at a time. Yes. So you're not alone. You can find the quiz at www.dontea.co/quiz. That's DONTEA.co/quiz. I'll drop it in the show notes as well. Okay, back to the episode.
And now is making new friends. Maybe someone they have interest in, they're connecting, and those feelings come up. Like, I said my needs, it didn't happen. We had this blow up. What would you say to work through that?
So, I'm a woman of faith, so I'm going to offer it this way, but people can receive it however they like. I think that there are things that need to be developed within us. And we all like to think like we're just going to wake up and be more mature and emotionally resilient. There are things that I believe God needs to work out at me. I cannot develop those things in isolation.
Yeah.
I need other people to bring it out of me, to tick me off again, to push a boundary, for me to develop the skill of speaking up for myself, for me to develop the skill of apologizing or whatever it is that happens in community. I understand the woman who's like, man, I've been bitten, so I'm never doing that again. I've been betrayed. I've had girls talk about me. I'm never doing that again. But you heal in community. You are not protecting yourself by being like, I'm not going to engage in this new friendship because she did something that looks way too close to what my last girl did. Okay. But you also need to practice positioning yourself for corrective experiences. So if the circumstances feel kind of similar, but the person's demonstrated evidence of being a little bit healthier and it's a little bit safer than it was the last time, I would actually encourage you to lean into that. Now, I'm no therapist, so I want to be careful and I want to be responsible. But if the circumstances look similar but safer, and you have a friend who, maybe she made a little slick comment and it's triggering something, it feels like the last time.
Yeah.
What can I do differently this time to see if there are different outcomes? And maybe this changes my overall attitude toward friendship in general, but I need somebody to help me to get a do-over. So let's say she said something and I interpreted it as being a little shady. Well, this time, instead of being like, you know what, I feel like that was shady, so I'm out. I'm not going to communicate it to her. Maybe this time I say, hey, question, yesterday you said XYZ when we were at dinner, and I wasn't really sure how to take that. Now, what did you mean?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, not with a head roll. Help me understand your attitude last night. Okay. You said something XYZ. This is what you said factually.
Yeah.
I wasn't unsure. I wasn't understanding what you were saying. This is a chance she might surprise you. She might say, you're right. That was not okay. I didn't mean it. Or, oh, I was just joking. Honest to God. I was just kidding. But if that's not cool, I will not say that again. I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
It's a chance for people to show you, oh, okay. I can speak up for myself, or, oh, okay, I was going to overdo it here. But you have to position yourself to get some do-overs to unlearn the attitude of, well, I've been hurt before, so I'm not doing that again. I mean, hopefully you've got a lot of life left to live, and that would sign you up for a very lonely life.
True. And with that, just flipping it in another alternative, what would you recommend when you get brave enough, you call it out factually without the neck roll and all that, and they meet you with aggression, maybe defensiveness, deflection?
Okay, so this one, I normally don't like to say my personal opinion. I just share what the research has to say. Here's my personal opinion on that, and I'd be curious to know your thoughts. But for me, I tend to give grace a little bit. The first time I'm like, hey, I actually don't feel totally awesome around this kind of, activity, but I know, whatever. I stand up for myself. I say it warmly. I'm not accusatory. And she's defensive, or if she doubles down with well, that's just me. So if I'm getting any of that.
Yes, that one.
And I've done that where I'm like, okay, well,
Yes.
I tend to give a little bit of grace because I have found that a lot of times people get embarrassed to be called out. So it's just like well, yeah. But I can give one because I'm like, okay, I get it. You're embarrassed, but you hear me though. Okay. But I'm trying to see if the behavior changes.
Yeah.
If the next time we're in that situation, she does something differently. She heard me, but maybe she was embarrassed. Or if an apology comes after that, where like 2 days later, she's softened and she's like, hey, by the way, you were right about the other day. I came too hard at you. You're totally right. And I'm going to do better about that. Then I can, okay.
Yeah.
So I'm giving grace for like, that wasn't the ideal emotional response, but okay, if the behavior changes or if there's an apology later, like an acknowledgement of like, hey, I came off too strong. That's on me. I can work with that. I can work with humility, self-awareness, change behavior. But if you do start to see, oh, it's a culture in this friendship of she cannot take any kind of feedback, that is a problem.
Yeah.
And it is hard for people who cannot receive feedback to be in relationship with anyone. So if you feel like, hey, in order to make this friendship work, I'm noticing I'm going to have to be quiet.
Yeah.
That's a fundamental issue.
No. Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree 100%. I think I'm always encouraging my clients, I just need you to like lean in or take that risk, whatever language they're using, so we can just at least gather data. If they meet you with the whole like, well, this is just me, or what I've been told years and years ago, that sounds like a personal issue for you, which I'm like, what? What?
Yeah.
I'll never forget that. Early 20s. I'm like, what does this mean? When you hear things like that, okay, ouch, damn, I'm a Leo, I'm hella sensitive. And it's like, still, okay, now I'm seeing what this could look like when I'm mentioning something that I didn't like, when I'm asking for accountability, when I'm asking for an apology or whatever, acknowledgement, at the least. And so we can move from there. If the behavior, if the behavior continues, then yeah, you have a decision to make. Do I want to continue to be in the space because I like the parties we go to? I like not being alone when I go to work with my work buddy too. Things like that. Is it where I'm ready to stop putting myself in the corner, silencing myself, and not letting people know when something bothers me? Because I'm here to serve you, right? So
yeah, totally. I agree with
we're
you.
on the same page with that. I know we have to start wrapping up soon. I want to at least ask you one more question about your journey into this. I believe, because I could be wrong, we get into these kind of things because we have our own personal journeys. So let me help other people. Do you have anything like that? Or was it simply because you were a high school educator and you saw the girls, getting their hearts broken with friendships?
Yeah, it actually became personal once I was in it, which I've actually had to work through. So I was a high school English teacher teaching 12th graders for about 6 years. I
love it.
Worked my way up and became academic chair. So now it's not just my students bringing me their friendship issues, but teachers bringing me their students' issues. And we're trying to literally having meetings to brainstorm, because we had a front row seat to how issues of connection and belonging were directly impacting everything else, their attitude, academic performance, attendance. If two of them are falling out, she's not coming to school.
True.
She's not doing the group project. She wants her seat changed, all because I feel like people here don't like me, where I was in last night, but I guess I'm out today, so we saw how if I don't feel like anybody here likes me, that's going to impact everything else. So when I left the classroom, I got into the world of public relations, and it wasn't long before I found out that even, and I'm sure you see this with your clientele, even high achieving, successful, beautiful women are secretly having their issues with friends too. And that's when I just got curious and was like, okay, is there research on this? Like, are there books on this? And so long story short, I've spent the last 6 years of my career leveraging my education background to explore what the research has to say about women's cooperation, communication, and conflict. And there's a lot of research on those very specific things. And so now I kind of see my role as being the mediator between the people fielding this research and the women out here living everyday life to help inform the decisions they make through more education in a technical way. And so I got into it because of that. But of course, if you're in this work all day, you can't help but to have your own relationships be touched by what you're learning. So it's helped me personally and is helping me presently all the time.
Yeah. Wow. I love that. So is it for you, like, I'm here to help, connect the dots, help you understand? Is that what it is for you that keeps you going?
Yeah, because I feel like I'm always going to be an educator. And even though I'm not in the classroom, it comes out this way now. This is how that gift or that interest plays out now. Now the content that I'm using is about women's relational health.
Yeah.
How do my relationships impact my well-being, my life satisfaction? So now I'm using my background as an educator in this way. And it's just funny because, I often have people ask me, they're like, well, what about your friendships? What about, and I think I just started this journey trying so hard to not be one of many voices out here who's like, here's what I did with my friends this weekend, so here's what you should do. I'm always like, yeah, but where did that come from? So I so want to separate myself from that I can admit, I think I went too far into like, nope, let's not talk about me. Let's just talk about, this research. It doesn't matter about me. And now I'm getting more comfortable being like, hey, I actually just went through that too. And it was rough, but here's what I'm learning. Maybe that's helpful for you too.
Yeah.
So trying to be, stay more human in it and not be so sterile. So I'm growing and figuring out my style. But my number one goal is always the education part because I think it's so interesting. And then I'm like, okay, how can I infuse some of my own experiences so we do feel like we're in it together?
Yeah. Yeah. We're very similar in that way because you being an educator, you have some degrees, if not, one, at least two. And so coming out of that world and then coming into social media and marketing yourself, it's hard to break out of like the clinical terms and the, the bigger words and finding your style. I'm in that space too. I will say personal stories. And now listening to you, I'm like, maybe I need to add more research so people like can know that I actually got this from somewhere, not just my own head, Dantea's weekend advice. So I love that. Okay. To start wrapping us up, please tell us where we can like get your book. Where is the book at? What else is going on in your life? I'm so excited to continue to watch your journey.
Yeah. And I appreciate you so much, by the way, for, intentionally saying we're going to pause and we're going to talk about this particular issue because I know my audience needs that and I respect you for that. But for me, everything lives at betterfemalefriendships.com. The research, the podcast, the articles, the events, and we just see our goal as equipping women with the information they need to make better decisions about their platonic relationships. That's it. Woo. I don't have advice. I don't have, a bunch of stuff I'm trying to sell you.
Yeah.
But I just like to say, oh man, I just learned that this is some historical information or some psychological information. I'm going to put this down here on the table.
Yeah.
You take it if you want. You can keep doing what you do, or you can say, you know what, let me try this because I wonder if it'll improve, this relationship I really value. So that's just how I see my role, is to present you with some new information. And I pray that it helps inform the decisions that you make about your relationships.
Yes. Amen. I cannot wait. Like, you don't understand it. My college research was around friendship, like adult, adolescent, young adult friendship. So I'm eager. I'm pumped. Thank you so much for coming on the show. Whenever you want to come back, please let me know. You are more than welcome to. And yeah.
Well, thank you for having me. Yes, I'll definitely be back. I've enjoyed this conversation, and I'm so glad for the specific group you've curated here of listeners and people who are very active with your platform. So thank you for having me, and thank you for letting me lend my voice to the conversation.
Of course. Of course. You and your cute blazer have a great day.
All right. Thank you. Have a good one.
Bye. Thank you for listening to the show, loves. This show was produced by Mackenzie Mazzell and me, Dantea. If you got a question you'd like me to answer, which I know you do, please send it to dantea@soireesandtherapy.com. That's SOIREES for soirees. When you do that, the answer might just become an episode, and I would love to keep talking about your question. Want to work with me? The link is in the show notes. I'll see you there, and I'll see you in the next episode. Okay, bye.